All right, everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about interacting with assignments. It's going to be the last portion of our lecture today. Everybody already got interacted with their operating system. We understand how to work within our own development environment. Now let's start talking about assignments here at Code Platoon. I went ahead and shared this link inside of the Buffalo channel, but you can scroll down and kind of read through it, the stuff that's being covered, what information it is that you need. But let's start going into some of these assignments here. So there's two routes for assignments. All routes start in the same step where we fork a repository. Once we fork the repository, we can then open up a code space, which I'll demonstrate here shortly, where we can clone down the repository, open the clone project, work on the assignment, and then we have to add and commit our changes and push to GitHub. Now, all of this, again, is being placed here. Here's how to add and commit assignments. We're not going to exactly cover everything of what this means and what it all entails. This is just to get us off the ground running. Tomorrow, we have an entire day dedicated to both Git and GitHub and how to work with both platforms. So with that said, let's start looking at some of our assignments. For example, here in this intro.js, you'll see that we have things formatted with lectures, followed by assignments. Let's say I'm working through the project and I want to take care of the factorial problem. All right, well, what I want to take care of is my factorial problem. I go here. Here's my main branch. And here's the factorial problem that I need to work on. Now you'll notice that all of them have readmes. They come with a spec file, which usually holds all of our tests. So this one doesn't actually hold a test suite, but it does hold a double equal sign that will give us, or triple equal sign that will give us some sort of feedback as to how this project is working. And then we have our README, which tells us exactly what it is that we're doing. So my intent here is to work on factorial.js. In this exercise, I'm going to create, takes a number, takes a parameter, returns the factorial of it. So for example, if I were to return 2, it would be 2 times 1, 3 times 2, and so on. Okay, fantastic. There's a couple of ways to go about doing this. I'm going to do it the most simplest, straightforward way without you utilizing any fancy dandy tools so that hopefully we can all understand the code that I'm writing here. So my very first step, again, I am going to fork a repository. So I'm just going to go ahead and give myself a little marker here. This is where I am currently at in forking a repository. Okay, I'm going to click on this code command, and actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to come up here. We can see there's the algo factorial, and then we see this nice button on the right-hand side that says fork. And that is how I know I'm going to fork a repository. So I'll go ahead and click fork. You'll see that GitHub is kind of doing the majority of the steps for me. Hey, you're going to create a new fork. Here's my account. I am going to become the new owner of this repository, no longer Code Platoon assignments. I'm going to copy the main branch only. So I create a fork. You'll see it's taking its time coding all the, or copying all the information. Great. And now inside of my own GitHub account in my repositories, I have a repository named algo factorial. Fantastic. Now there's two ways to work on this information. The first one is I can do it online utilizing a GitHub code space. So here I'm going to demonstrate how to open up a code space. I click on code. You'll see that there's a tab that says local, one that says code spaces. I'm going to click on code spaces. That's going to load. It's going to tell me, hey, you have no code spaces. Would you like to create one? And I'm going to say create code space on main. Now this is going to set up a whole VS code inside of the browser that I can write code to. It is going to take a while to set up. So, if you're waiting for a while, please don't stress it. It's the nature of the beast. If you're doing it all within this one code space. It's going to take a while to get set up. Now, benefits of utilizing code spaces. Everything's already there for you. All of the extensions that you'll need is going to be there. Any sort of environment that you're going to have to deal with is already going to be preloaded. You're not really going to have to do any other interaction other than actual coding. Now, although that may sound convenient, I would like to preface this that it is important for you to run into those environmental issues in order for you to understand your operating system. So this is an option for you, but it's not our recommended option. We recommend that you actually clone it down and work on it inside of your actual VS Code. You'll see this is taking a good amount of time. All right. While this is happening, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to clone down a repository. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to switch gears. And I'm going to start working on cloning a repository. So here's my algo factorial. I go back to local. I'm going to clone this repository. So I'm going to need this HTTPS here. So I copy that URL pattern. Now, inside of this terminal, or actually I'm going to open up a new terminal. In here, I'll change directory onto my desktop. And you don't have to do it in your desktop. If you want to create something like McDeer and you do CP assignments, you could do something like that. This info exists. Looks like I already have it. So let me do something like code. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to say for Windows and Linux people, you're going to want to make sure that you clone all the assignments and, create directories to organize them within your home directory, like home/AdamC or whatever your Linux username is.
All right, awesome. So now I go into my Code Platoon assignments, and here I'm going to utilize that tool that we installed called Git. I'm going to clone, which is an additional command to Git, and then I'm going to paste that URL pattern. Now, what this is going to do is quite literally going to pull down set assignment into this directory. You'll notice now that it's completed. If I run ls, there is now a directory named algo factorial. Well, if I change directory into algo factorial and run ls here, you'll see that I have factorial.js, factorial spec, and my readme. Well, I can code this new directory. And now I have that assignment available for me to tackle down. I can see the whole readme. If I want to see this in a prettier version, I could do Command-Shift-V. Oh. There you go. And Command-Shift-V will show me a prettier version of this readme. It's the same exact directions that I saw earlier. I can see I still have my factorial spec, and I have the factorial number. Okay, we see that it takes in an integer. Let's make sure that I want to actually write some code here, right? Because I want to tackle this down. Well, if I want to write some code, what I'm going to write is going to be pseudocode. And the way I'm going to accomplish this, it's going to be with a for loop. So I'm going to iterate through a for loop the number of times specified by num. And you can see here that I have some sort of extension trying to fill that in. Let me go ahead and snooze that there. All right. After I iterate through my for loop by the number of times specified by num, each time I want to store the multiplied num times the current value. And then finally, I would like to return the answer. All right, so now I've made some changes. None of this is necessarily up to par, but I do have to make sure that this gets pushed up to my GitHub. Because as of now, if I go into Factorial.js, none of those comments are there. All right. Well, I've made some changes. I've worked on my assignment, so I can git add, I can commit, and I said added sudo code. And I know that's the wrong kind of sudo, I apologize. And then I'm going to go ahead and push it to origin main. Now, by saying git push origin main, I'm actually pushing all these files into the main branch of this assignment. If I refresh it, now you can see that all of my comments that I just wrote in VS Code are being represented on GitHub. Awesome. Well, let's see how this factorial stuff is looking on code spaces. Okay, it's still not looking too hot. All right, fantastic. So there you go. Now I have everything factorial. There has been a little bit of a change since I pushed, so I'm just gonna quickly fix that by doing git pull origin main. All right, there you go. Now you can see that in my code spaces, I have all of my comments. Everything looks exactly the same. It's the same on GitHub, and it's the same on my VS Code. Nothing has changed, right? So I opened the clone project, and now I'm working on the assignment. Now, when I'm working on the assignment here, I'm going to say, let's do, oh, hello. Let counter. I'm going to let counter be equal to num. Then I'm going to have an answer, which is going to be a number equal to 1. Actually, we'll make that equal to num as well. All right, now I'm going to do for let I. I'm going to have I be equal to num. I'm going to say while I is greater than 0. And then finally, I minus minus. So there's my iteration. So I iterate through a for loop, the number of times specified by the number. Okay. If I take a look at my README here, that makes sense to me because if I pass in 4, it should be 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, great. So I'm going to do minus 1 actually here because I'm already going to have the number 4. So let's assume this is the number 4. And I is currently the number 3. Now that's going to break it. So I'm going to do it out here. I is equal to 3. Great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say answer is actually equal to the answer times I. All right. So the answer times I, that's 4 times 3. Now the answer will be 12. I will be 2 on the second iteration, which is what I expected. Oh, excuse me. Let me take a look at the README. Okay, which is 2, what I expected. All right, when it goes in, now it's 12 times 2. So now we're going to have 24. And we're going to have 1. So 24 times 1 will still be equal to 24. And on my last iteration, when this turns into 0, well, I is no longer greater than 0. So break out of my loop, and I could finally return my answer. So now I have this counter, which I didn't end up using. So there's num. I have all of my loops there. I think this makes sense to me. Let's make sure that this is executable. So I'm gonna run node factorial spec.js. And you can see that I get majority true. I do get one false statement, and that's on the first test case. And the first test case is where it is 0. So that's an edge case that I didn't take into account. So I'm going to say if not num, then return num. And I've been writing Python for too long. Truthy and falsy in Python is weird. Still giving me false.
Shouldn't it return 1? So num plus 1.
Oh, good point. Thank you. Look at that. That's why reading is important. Appreciate it. All right, there you go. So now everything is true. I have successfully completed my factorial statement. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up a little bit of my syntax there. I know I could use some semicolons in some places. This was additional code that I didn't need. Okay, -1, minus. Again, this is additional that I didn't need. Iterates there, closes, and then it finally returns my answer. Boom. Okay, let me make sure that after my cleanup, everything still works. Great. So now I completed my assignment. I worked on the assignment until completion. Now I can add my changes and commit them to my repository. So I come back, I do git add all, git commit -m assignment completed. I do git push origin main. Okay. Well, now this is the current version of my GitHub assignment. If I refresh the assignment, you'll see that it's get updated to all the code that I wrote in my code space. And those are 2 ways I'm working the assignment. You can either work on the assignment inside of VS Code by cloning it down, opening up the cloned assignment, writing some code and committing, or you can utilize the the code space inside of GitHub. All right. At this point, does anyone have any questions over the 2 ways of working on assignments and how to submit your assignments? Doesn't seem like we have any questions, so let me do a quick recap here. I'm going to come back a couple of times here. I'm going to do the same process with Roman numerals. Again, I click on Roman numerals. If I want to work on it in a code space, or excuse me, let me reference back to my drawing. I'm on the assignment. The first step is fork the assignment. So I go to fork. I only want to copy the main branch. Some of our assignments have solution branches. So you could uncheck that, create the fork. Okay, now I am the owner of the assignment. If I want to clone the assignment, I copy the HTTPS. Let me go back to my drawing here. I'm cloning the assignment now. I'm gonna change directory 1 back. I run git clone, paste the URL pattern. If I run ls, I now have Roman numerals as well. So I can code algo Roman numerals. There it opens up Roman numerals. I can write code. I can run the test suite here. Once I have some changes, I can get add, get commit, and then get push. Since I didn't make any changes, it's telling me everything is up to date. All right, so we cloned the assignment, we opened the clone project, worked on the assignment, add and commit, and we push all of our changes. Now let's go back to open code spaces. Well, here I can click on code, click on code spaces, click on create new code space. And we're not going to wait for all of this to load because it might take another half hour before it's actually up and running. But note that once this is done up and running, it's the same exact process as in VS Code. We will work on the assignment. When done, working on the assignment to completion, we would add, commit, and push all of our changes. Again, does anyone have any questions over how to work with assignments here in Platoon? Let's hear it, Tom.
Yeah, so when we push, after that, like, is that considered submitted? Like, how do you guys know it's submitted, like ready for grade or ready for review, etc.?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you want a code review, you can message us personally one-on-one and ask us to review your code and then just send us the repository as well. We'll go over and take a look at it and then we'll give you feedback directly. But as far as every single assignment and us taking a look, we're not going to be doing that, nor are we tracking that you guys do every single assignment. You'll notice there's going to be some days that have maybe 10, 15 assignments on them. Some days there might be 3 assignments, but the amount of time that it would take down those 3 assignments would be overwhelming. So the intent here is we give you guys as many possible practical application that you can so that you're busy, you're practicing, you're developing new skills. But as far as us trying to, for lack of better words, like babysit or like trying to figure out that assignments are being submitted, that's not going to happen here in Platoon. All right. Alex?
What's the command for that final push?
It's get push origin main.
Got it.
And
then
you'll be able to find it right here as well, inside of the curriculum, in the submitting your assignments portion.
oh, okay, I was in the Git fundamentals. All right.
All right.
And then you said what are you cloning if you don't check that main branch?
If you don't check the main branch, it's going to, oh, I'm sorry, what's your question again?
Yeah, because you said it has solutions sometimes. So if you're not cloning the main branch, what would you be cloning?
Yeah, by unchecking that copy main branch, that's saying copy the main branch only. And that's not what we want to do, right? We don't just want to copy one branch. We want to make sure we copy all of them. For example, this one here has a solution branch. If you leave that check mark on, only the main branch will get cloned. Whereas if you uncheck it, you'll also have access to the solution branch so that in case you get stuck or you just want to get a hint as to like, hey, how did this person go about doing this assignment? You could take a look. These was done by one of our previous instructors and you can see how he went about coming up to an answer for this assignment.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions? I could have swore I saw another hand. Oh, go ahead, Arnold.
Yeah, so just to recap on what you did for cloning assignment repositories. So you're gonna copy the URL and you're gonna go to Ubuntu to get clone and then the URL. and then you're gonna go ahead and type in CD assignment and then tech name of your file. Is that I'm
No,
reading and
sorry, go ahead.
I'm reading the instructions right now step by step, so I'm just confused on that one.
Yeah, of course. So if we go to the Git, so we're gonna clone it down, right? This is just the name of the directory for the assignment. So for example, in this case, the name is going to be algo-Roman numerals. Right? So this is just changing directory into the name of the assignment. For example, when you clone this one up here, the name of the assignment is assignment-name. So that's what you would be changing directory into before writing some code.
Okay, so when you do that, it would automatically show up on the left side in VS Code.
Yes, it would show assignment-name because that's your current directory. And then after that, you just open it up with code space period.
Code space. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Adam, is there anything you want to add?
There is not. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, everyone. If there aren't any other questions, that's going to conclude this portion of the lecture. Let me go ahead and stop our recording here.